Now that we know a little bit about the script editor, let's get a little bit more into variables. So I'm going to go back into my script editor and I'm going to open my project from the last video, and you can see we have first message, and that's a variable that we've declared, and that's okay. You know, that we can see that letters are fine. We can use letters, we can use capital letters, lowercase letters, that's all okay. Now if we declare a variable called first message without the capitals, it's a different variable. And you can see first message and first message, they're different. And if I run this and you go to the logs, you'll see we get first message. Not this is a different variable. If we were to change this to first message with a lowercase m, then we would see that, you know, it's going to output this is a different variable. Now one weird thing that we can do is we can actually declare the same variable 2 times, and if we run this and view our logs, it's actually gonna run, but we generally don't want to do this. We generally don't want to do it this way, because now we've declared the same variable twice. That's generally not something we want to do. So we can just leave that as a different variable altogether. But you can see how just that minor change changes the entire way our program runs. Now we can create variables with a lot of different values. One thing that you can do is create a variable with underscores. Now we can run this, and this is fine. This is going to be no issue. Underscores are okay. But what we can't do are spaces. If we were to try to create a variable with spaces, if we run this, let's go ahead and get that correct. When we run this code, well, that's not going to work at all, because this is not okay. This is a spaced variable name. It's got spaces all through it, and you know, if we were to just say variable name, we'd get the same problem. We're missing. It's saying there's something wrong here. This is not okay. Now, if we remove that space, we're back to being fine. We could also replace that space with an underscore, and that's fine too. In fact, we can start our variable name with underscores as well. And if we run this, it's okay. It's going to be fine. We could start with several underscores, in fact. And that's not a problem either. The other symbol that we can use are $signs. And if we run this, $signs are okay. But that's the limit of the things that we can start a variable name with. A variable name must start with a letter, an underscore, or a $sign. If we start a variable with a number, and we run this, it's going to be a problem. Well, that's not okay. 2 things isn't recognized. Now we could say things 2, and that's okay. We're allowed to have numbers in our variable names. They're just not allowed to start with numbers. And that's because if we start with numbers, then the script editor tends to think that we're talking about a number instead of a variable. And we'll deal with how that works a little bit later. But you can create variables with any number of lowercase letters, uppercase letters, underscores, $signs, underscores, $signs, and numbers. And we can say this is an okay variable name. And we run, you can see it's totally fine. Now, typically we don't do this. Typically when we deal with variable names, we almost always use just letters and numbers. Some languages use underscores a lot. Python is a language where underscores are pretty common in the way that you declare variables. In JavaScript though, or JavaScript and AppScript, we typically, in Java and C++ and all the other similar languages to those, we typically use just lowercase, uppercase letters, and occasionally numbers as well. All of these are okay though. You know, you can create variables with different ways, but if you're trying to create spaces in your variable names, you'll see pretty quickly that, you know, that's just not going to work most of the time. And when it does work, it's going to work in ways that probably aren't expected. Thanks for watching, and watch out for more videos. We're going to get more into the programming, the calculation, and all of the different things we can do in the script editor.